Okay. Jody Mayfield is a musician from Atlanta, Georgia. He studied at Clark Atlanta University, where he majored in music performance. He holds a BA degree in music technology from Morris Brown College and a master's degree in music technology from Southern Utah University. He has performed with musical greats such as Dizzy Gillespie. Man, I practice his name, Gillespie, at
That's correct.
Jazz Festival in Montreux, Switzerland in 1981 and 82, as well as James Lloyd of Pieces of a Dream, Frank Foster, Grover Washington Jr., Mary Lou Williams, Illinois Jacket, and the Tony Rich Project. He also opened concerts for Sarah Vaughan, Dexter Gordon, Rodney Franklin, Wynton Marsalis, Lionel Hampton, Fred Hammond, and Bishop T.D. Jakes, just to name a few. Jody Mayfield was the creative director for Evander Holyfield's record label, Real Deal Records, for 3 years. He has 4 albums to his credit, and his company, JMQ Studios, does music for film and television. According to Tamara Fuller of The Velvet Note, Mayfield is a masterful keyboard artist with a funky groove that will rock your soul. His entire anthology of music can be found on iTunes, Spotify, and all other digital music outlets. Again, Jody, welcome to Tell Us About It Tuesday.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being here.
All right.
You know, a lot of you've been in concert with a lot of, well, you know what, let me do this first before I get off track, because I'll start going from the questions that I sent you. But so I like to do a little segment that I call What's the What? It's 5 random, not so random questions about So what is one place you would like to visit?
Oh wow. One place I'd like to visit that I haven't been. I like to go to London.
London? Okay. And what's your favorite number?
7.
7. Mine too. Actually, 9, multiples of 7. Anything multiples.
Right. Exactly.
And what's your favorite word?
Oh, I don't think I have one. I don't know. I've never thought about that.
Oh, wow.
Here we go. I don't know. Expeditiously. How about that?
Expeditiously. Move quickly. Okay.
Right.
And your favorite food?
Oh, chicken. I mean, what else is there? If they make some other type of meat or something that I don't know about.
Oh my
chicken. Chicken.
We'll, let the people decide on that. And what's your favorite Bible verse?
I really don't have a favorite Bible verse. Maybe, what is that? Psalms 37. No, I really love Psalms 1, to be honest with you. But a close runner-up is Psalms 37, about how the man's steps are ordered, a good man's steps are ordered.
Okay.
I think it's Psalms 37:24, somewhere around that area.
Okay.
Right.
That's a good one. Well, they're all good.
Right.
Like, no, this isn't a good verse. We're going to do something else.
Right.
So now we're going to get into the main interview portion. So what is your earliest memory of music, and when did you realize this was the career path you wanted to take?
My earliest memory is probably around maybe 5, 6, just somewhere around there. My sister's a music teacher. Okay, so one day she brought home some drumsticks, and so I was beating on the bar stool with that. And there's always been a piano at the house, so I just played it. I would bang on it and just random things. First I would make up stories, on the piano. I didn't know what I was doing, and so like the bad people would be down at the bottom of the piano. The low. The ladies would be at the high part, right? And the hero would be somewhere in the middle. So I'd sit there, I don't know, about 6 years old, waiting for my ride to come take me to school and just play. All right. And so my sister told me, she says, I was in the 4th grade. You are going to play an instrument. And I told her, I don't want to play an instrument. She says, I don't care. you are going to play an instrument. I don't want to play an instrument. Okay. She says, there's no debate. You got to understand, my sister, who is actually my aunt, she is 20 years older than me. All right. So she's grown, good and grown. Okay. And she's a music teacher. And she says, you're going to play saxophone. So I said, okay. So I got in the band. And I absolutely loved it for some reason. I loved it. And now you have to look at this. You're learning how to read music, you're playing saxophone. Now, all during this time, concurrently, I am playing the piano or banging on it. I know the notes on the piano, okay? And so, and I would sit and watch her teach her students. And so one day, there was some music left on the piano. And so it's a tune called Something by the Beatles, okay? I know I'm dating myself. But what I did was I said, okay, I know how to read music. Okay, there are two notes that are on top of each other. Oh, B flat and a D. I know where the B flat is and the D is on the piano. So what happens is I put it together, put the bass with that, and to my grandmother was startled because in about 5 minutes I sort of figured out the whole thing. And so within about 3 days I was playing stuff like We've Only Just Begun, and because again, the finger dexterity is there for playing saxophone, and you already know the notes on the piano. So the rest is history. That happens around 4th, 5th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my wife who came in. Sorry.
Oh no, I know nothing about music notes or none of that. So I just know what sounds good to my ear when I hear it.
Oh, okay.
So when I hear people say that didn't sound good, like people that know music say things didn't sound good, I'm like, it sounded fine to me.
Well, here's the thing. There's really no such thing as someone who knows music or doesn't know music. Either it sounds good or it doesn't. Okay, if you have that ear to say that doesn't sound good, okay, then you know music because you are evaluating that didn't sound right. So you may be running into people who may be a perfectionist. You know what I'm saying? But you have an ear for music. All humans do.
Okay, I'll work on that then. Okay.
All right.
What genre of music do you like the most and why?
Jazz. I love jazz. Jazz is America's only original art form. It is the only one. Nothing else. America has not come up with any form of art on its own except for jazz. And so if you were to take, for example, classical music, it's from Europe, okay? Paintings, that's, Europe and Africa and every place else. But as far as this rose up in America, it's jazz. It's an African-American music, all right? And that people all over the world play. And from jazz, all other forms of popular music that we experience in the United States come from it. All right, so that whether it's country music, rap, hip hop, R&B, rock and roll, the blues, all of that is jazz. So I tell people, they say I don't like jazz. I say, yes, you do. You listen to rhythm and blues? It's a form of jazz. Just like, what is that? You like Beyonce? That's jazz because it has all the elements of it. Every element that was established in jazz with syncopation or off rhythms, the beat, and all that, it's all because of jazz, which comes from the slave experience, which comes from Mother Africa.
Okay. So on your website, you have a quote that says, jazz is not a type of music, is how you play music. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So tell me, what does that mean? Because I was actually kind of afraid to ask you that question. I was like, if it's not, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you can approach music in a lot of different ways, okay? But here is a great example. Are you familiar with the tune "My Funny Valentine"?
Yes.
You like that song, okay? Well, that originally is not a jazz tune. That is a show tune from the musical Pal Joey. Okay, but jazz musicians have adopted it. And when you hear Miles Davis sing it, play it, you hear Sarah Vaughan or Ella, it is done in a way, it's an interpretation.
Okay.
of how to do it. So, you can, as they say, you can jazz up anything, I play several jazz chords, for lack of a better term, every Sunday while you guys are worshiping. You may not know it, but jazz is the highest form of musical expression in its complexity. It can be very simple or it can be very complex, but it's still beautiful.
Okay. Okay, I did not know that.
All right.
So, you have performed with a lot of musical greats. Who did you enjoy performing with the most? And what venue did you enjoy the most?
Uh, I really enjoyed when I was in my 20s playing with Dizzy Gillespie. Yes, that was an experience, because we had practiced, I mean, all night with his music. And this is Dizzy Gillespie when he had done a lot of big band stuff. So just for the audience's sake, Dizzy Gillespie is an innovator of a musical genre called bebop, which is in the family of jazz. So to give you a quick history, typically when you hear Louis Armstrong, that's kind of like the beginning of it. They called it Dixieland. Then you have swing. That's your Duke Ellington, the big bands, okay? The Count Basies. And during World War II, during World War II, a lot of the musicians went overseas to fight. So bands got a lot smaller. And then so you have a new art form developing from Charlie Parker, then you have Dizzy Gillespie. And they have small combos like, hey, piano, bass, drums, 2 trumpet, a horn player, a sax player, a vocalist. Something very similar to what we have today when you go see a band. And so he basically came through and he developed the language of bebop that is still with us today. And just sitting there and listening to the stories of him telling that and him coming over to me saying, no, voice the chord like this, or just the history and his stories with Charlie Parker, The Loneliest Monk. And I'm throwing out a lot of names, but you're sitting there with greatness. And probably the next person would be Mary Lou Williams, and she is one of the architects of bebop. And I sat literally next to her while she was playing. And she was probably maybe about 70 years old, and I'm just sitting there with my mouth open. So these are foundational influences that will influence you because I'm just in their presence, watching them play. As far as venues, wherever they're paying, it's my favorite venue. You ask what's my favorite venue to play?
Yes.
Wherever they are paying.
Oh, wherever.
Yes. If they're paying and it's in a street corner. If you're paying, I love it.
I'm like, okay, I haven't heard of that one before.
Right.
So, when and why? So we're gonna switch over to your studio.
Okay.
JMQ Studios. When and why did you start that?
I wanted to do something that would take me out of just say doing one style of music.
Okay.
We are doing music for film and television. I've got some IMDb credits. You want to look me up? That's on, I think, Internet Movie Database, imdb.com.
Mm-hmm.
And look up Jody Mayfield. You can see some of the projects I've worked on because I love doing movie soundtracks. And as a side note, to show you how God works and how things are ordered, like that verse we talked about, when I was a freshman at Clark, I got a chance to work on a film called Black College Talented 10th. And believe it or not, guess who wrote the screenplay?
You did?
Nope.
Oh, I have no idea.
Spike Lee.
Okay, I was thinking about Spike Lee.
Yeah, this is Spike Lee before Spike Lee was Spike Lee. And so we actually recorded the soundtrack. It was a love story. And of course, Black College Talented 10th is based off the W.E.B. Du Bois, his concept of the Talented 10th. And from there, it just sort of went on. I did another film for the CETA program, which is a youth employment program back in the 80s. And then after that, I'm just playing in church. It's just nothing happening, just playing in church, And then I met up with a guy named Robinsonville, and we started doing soundtrack stuff. Prior to that, I was able to work with Robert Townsend. He was redoing a lot of shows for now the defunct Black Family Channel. This is what I was working for, Evander Holyfield. And so we were able to do soundtracks and for the upcoming shows that he was doing. And it just sort of went on from there. And I love doing soundtracks because soundtracks capture, tell the audience what to feel, tells them why to feel. If you hear something scary, it's typically because of the music. It's telling you to feel a certain way. And you're really ignoring it, but it influences your feelings. That's what I love about that. And the genre is so wide open, whereas if you're doing hip hop or jazz, you're doing, this is the style of it, or gospel, this is that style, so that's what that is.
So when you do the soundtracks, do you do your original work, or do you just pull from music that's already created and put it in place there?
No, the director will send you the film.
Okay.
And you must compose to it.
Oh, okay.
You're composing on the fly. You're talking to the director. The director will say, "Hey, I'd like something like this," or it may not at all. But you're looking at the scene, and you have to say, "Okay, is this a scary scene, love scene, happy scene, whatever? Is it a chase? If it's a chase, you have to have those elements, and you are constructing the music from scratch. So it's not like say the way graphic designers come, where you sort of, I'm gonna pull this piece of clip art here. Yeah. No, you're going literally from the ground up, and you want your sound to be different. And the guy Robinson Bill, who I work with, he loves orchestral stuff. So he's a big John Williams fan, and John Williams is a guy who did a lot of the Star Wars soundtracks. So he wants a big, massive orchestral sound, and so you have to think that way. Whereas some other people say, no, I want something just more rhythmic, or I just want piano. Hey, piano and string. So just when you're looking at television, listen to the music, and you might be surprised what you hear, because it's telling you what to feel.
Okay, yeah, I don't know, for some reason when you said soundtrack, I was just thinking about songs that you hear in the background on the credits.
Well, that's a different thing. Okay.
Okay.
Right. This would be the technical name is you're scoring a film.
Okay.
Right, and you're scoring a film from the beginning all the way to the end, and you're sitting there watching it. And the way the technology is so amazing now, I literally have it at the corner of my screen. I can see it, and then I'm composing to it. And and once it's done, you go to the next scene. So you have a 2-hour long film, and you're putting music, a bunch of tracks to capture the imagery, because the idea of music is to basically magnify the feeling. So, and this same concept happens in church. And I've told many musicians, especially young musicians, listen. Your job is a soundtrack composer. You are the scorer. And you're not supposed to play more than the preacher. I've been to some churches, and the preacher's like right here. He's just like, God is blah, blah, blah. Just real calm. And then they're playing up here. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Because people are now looking at you instead of hearing the word of God.
Yeah.
So what happens is, the rule of thumb is, if you notice the music, if you hear it, then it's the wrong music.
Okay.
So if the person is really going in, then you can go in. But remember that you are supporting the speaker, and you are basically accentuating or expanding what he's saying. So if he's preaching on warfare, then you've got music that's like that. Okay, it's in a, like, whoa, this is warfare, and the people will respond. And so this is part of the tabernacle of David, where you have music and worship is mixed all together. And this is all part of that whole tradition.
Okay, so you don't supposed to be up there doing like a 5 heartbeats type thing when the
No, because no. If you do that, then watch this. If you do that, you end up in the role of the devil or Lucifer. Because remember, Lucifer was a musician.
Yes. His
whole body was one.
He had all of the organs and all the beautiful
sounds. He breathed music. I need to play one sound at a time. This cat is playing a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And it is very important that musicians understand that what your role in church is. Because the thing about it, the musician, and I've said this, a lot of people may not like this, the most powerful person in a church service is the musician.
Mhm.
Because he is the one that creates the atmosphere.
Yes.
And if you're playing the wrong thing, or if you're not sensitive, and I tell young musicians, listen, the Holy Spirit is like a river flowing above your head. You've got to stick your finger up in there and take the temperature. When you walk into the building, what's the temperature of everyone? What are you dealing with? And this is one reason why I know there's a God, because how can people come from different parts of the city
Mm-hmm.
into one building and be in the same mood? That has been the most amazing thing. And so sometimes you as a musician have to help the pastor fight through some things to get to the people, because you know what the people have been through. But it's interesting how they are being influenced by this one thing. And then sometimes it's like just free. But you have to be sensitive to that. And if you're not sensitive to the Holy Spirit, it's not going to work. So all musicians have to be broken. If you're not broken and humble, then music, be honest with you, you should get out. And that's with any type of music. If you're not a broken vessel where God can use you, get out. Do something else.
Okay, so all y'all out there playing the piano, the keyboard, whatever instrument, I hope y'all taking notes. We don't need another Lucifer. Okay.
No.
So if your life was a song, what would it? Actually, first I want to go back, because so when you were saying that you started the JMQ Studios so that you can play different genres, I think it's very important that people are well-rounded, because sometimes you get stuck in one little hole. You get pigeonholed, and then you're not able to grow and expand. So I really like that you can grow and expand, because then you challenge yourself. Because you can probably do jazz with your eyes closed. You don't have to think about it. With other things, you have to really challenge yourself. So I like that. So if your life was a song, what would it be called?
I don't know. I mean, I have a pretty even kill life. My life doesn't have a lot of ups and downs. You mean like a pop song that people would know?
Any kind of song. What a song that you would name it, just your own. I had a young lady on, and I asked her what would her autobiography be called, and she said The Chronicles of Buisha or something like that.
I don't. Probably Beethoven's Pathetique. It's very calm, very serene. Probably that, you know, because it's a classical piece, and it's not a lot of frills in it, but the chord changes and the melody is it's very moving and stirring. Okay, so it's not like say Beethoven's Fifth, da 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 da. Was like whoa, then it's soft. No, I am pretty much just like that.
Like calm type.
Yeah, I am. Right.
Come back.
Exactly. I am not a person of extremes, even though some people may think I may get loud and something, but I'm just having fun, because life is too short not to have fun. And since I don't want to get older in my mind. Your body gets old. So that I want to keep embracing new ideas, new technology, you know. So as I get older, I'm still young because the brain does not age. So I'm constantly trying to learn something new every single day. I tell your audience to try to learn something new every day of your life. And it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Okay? It's there. Okay? I learned something the other day from a 7-year-old playing the piano, and he was like playing me under the table. I said, whoa, what was that? I got to get that. And if you have that attitude, then everything is like, hey, you stay young.
And people that remain teachable are, I think they are in a special class, because, you know, when you get to that point where you can't learn anything from anybody,
right?
Then who are you going to interact with?
Right. Well, if you get to the point where you can't learn, or you're so big that you think that you can't learn anymore, then it's time to get off the planet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. It's because you can learn from anybody, anytime, anywhere, and I've seen it. I have seen it, and no one knows like Percy Heath, great jazz musician. He was like 80 years old, and he was part of the founding members of the Modern Jazz Quartet. And they asked him, um, "Hey, do you still practice? I mean, you're amazing." And you know what he says? "Hey, man, I still practice because nobody knows all the music."
Yes.
Right.
All right. I like that. So what advice would you give someone who wants to go into music production or some type of musical field as a career?
Don't quit your job. You to do music, some type of 9 to 5 has to fund your 5 to 9. Okay. That's one. Number two, music has to be an obsession where all you think about is music. Okay? Nothing else. That's it. Just music, music. That's pretty much the majority of my, not all of it, but you're constantly thinking about music. How can I do this? How can I do that? And so breaking into the music business is a lot easier now because we don't have record labels anymore,
Mhm.
per se, because of the internet revolution and the invention of the MP3. All right, by Katzenberg back in the late 90s. So music is pretty much, as I predicted 5 years ago, is free. Okay, you can go to YouTube and do anything, but the problem is YouTube does not doesn't pay much as far as royalties are concerned. Okay, you're talking what, 0.006 cent. Same thing with Spotify and all. So the idea here is, what I believe is coming back, is the performer is coming back, because you have to be able to perform, because the only way you're going to make your money is you got to get out on the stage and perform. So the weirdness that we're in now with the COVID-19, all the musicians are locked in, and you can't really gig anywhere per se. I mean, you can, but it's not paying much. 10 people there. All right. So hopefully when this lifts, you would have done your music and created new music and all. So, but if you want to get into this, learn how to play the instrument. I cannot stress that enough, because we've got too many producers out there who just put loops of pre-recorded music together to make music. So unfortunately, we're living in the dark ages in some of our music, because it's really just recycled music. It's not really music. So that's why I encourage young musicians, learn to play an instrument, learn to play the piano, learn to play that, learn to play drums, do something, because the technology is so great now that anybody can make a record. Okay, but it may not be great, because remember, music is about passion. Music is about what's coming out, and you can only get that when you're playing an instrument, like this instrument. It's just certain things that a computer cannot manufacture. Sure, you can put a beat on there and everything, but you're still going to come back to this. If you're going to be any good, if you're going to be, great at it, like a Quincy Jones or so on and so forth.
Okay. So I'm looking at our time.
Okay, because I would talk your head off. You better.
No, because I had like 10 questions that wasn't even on the paper.
Okay.
So you are an associate pastor at Living Worship International Ministries.
Yes.
Ministry in that capacity been something that you desired to do, or did you just go with the flow of what God called you to do?
I just go with the flow, really. I like teaching people, but I've never wanted to be a pastor or a preacher, per se. I enjoy teaching, though. I do enjoy that. I love doing that and talking to people. But I just sort of went with the flow, and I believe my steps are ordered. Okay. And what can it hurt? I've been in church all my life. All my life. All.
Stay from home.
All my life. Yes, all. And get this. And I have a boring testimony. And my only testimony is God kept me. I haven't been in trouble. I didn't do all this and that, because God just kept me. So that's my testimony, because I have literally every day church. And it's ever since 6 years old, Rice Memorial. It's a Baptist church. Just go on.
I mean, that's not a bad testimony if you think about it, because you
Right.
think about some things that people have gone through because either they were not raised in the church, or they stepped out
Right.
of the church, and
Right.
just the things that happened while they were out of that place of covering. So that's really not a bad testimony to have. So
kept me out of trouble.
yes. So this is a question I usually ask women, but
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you.
Okay.
How do you balance your life, your family life, your business, your work, and your ministry? Because I know, we always hear about women, we need to do self-care, practice self-care and stuff like that. I don't know if men even think like that, but
No, we don't. Yeah.
When you need to get away, take
a break from what? From this? No. No. I just never thought about that.
Okay.
When I go on vacation, I'm taking a small keyboard with me.
Okay.
Um,
So music is really an outlet for you at the same time.
yes, music is the fabric of me. Oh, I tell you what, they said when me and my wife were going through premarital counseling, which I recommend that everyone do. And we went through 6 months of premarital counseling. And they said, now look, this guy's a musician. Do you realize what you're getting into? And she said, yeah. No. Do you really realize what you are getting into? Okay? And she said, well, sure. And she did. And because, there's Jody the husband, but there's Jody the musician. Mm-hmm. And there's always music. I'm here now. I'm going to play this thing probably 5-6 times a day. It's just part of it. You're going to listen to music. You're going to listen to a video on music. You're going to think about, how can I do this? And at the same time, you have to be a husband. You have to provide. So for me, since music has been providing, so it's sort of intertwined. And that's a good way of saying it. Music and graphic design, art, and all that. I've been fortunate enough to have jobs since I was 25 where I used my talent to make money. And so I think it's not a separation, okay? Because when I go out and gig, I'm getting paid. I'm bringing money home. So for me, it's a job that I love. So really, I haven't technically worked since 25 because I've been doing what I like.
Yeah.
Even though I'm going into a job, but I done graphic design for 30 years and done music for 40. So, hey.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, it matters that that's your passion.
Right.
Okay. So we need to be more passionate about what we do.
Right. Do what you love. Mm-hmm. And the key here is, and this is a crazy thing, I'm convinced that one of the biggest roles of Satan is to prevent people from being all that they were designed and called to be. Mm-hmm. I'm just convinced of that because I see that so many people don't use their gifts, and we're not talking about necessarily gifts to make money, but just to help people, mm-hmm. encourage people, just to do something that they're constantly trying to hone that gift, because everybody has a gift. Yes. But the key though is that it's buried underground and you got to dig for it. So when you're digging for it, you're perfecting your gift. In some people, gifts are closer to the surface. They don't have to do much. It's just naturally talented. And some people got to dig deeper for it. But the point is, everybody's got to dig and got to perfect that gift.
Okay, I like that. So we have a show called Promise Friday where we talk about the promises of God.
Okay.
What role has your faith in God taken in your journey to get to where you are today and where you want to be in the future?
All right. So I have an unusual view of faith. We talked about this.
Yes,
Okay.
talk about this.
My faith in God is quite built in in logic. Okay, because I see the evidence of God's handiwork all around me.
Yeah.
Okay, it's too much order in the universe for there not to be a God. Okay, it's just too orderly. I'm like, wow. I walk outside and say, oh, this is deep. All right, and so I have no problem believing what the word says. Okay, I just don't. Okay, now do I struggle with some doubt? But I say, nope. Based off what has happened before. For example, here we go. If I say 5, 10, 15, go ahead.
20,
25, 30, 35.
40.
How do you know that's the next number?
Because I just know.
No. How do you know this? Okay, here we go.
I learned how to count in multiples of 5.
Okay,
Younger.
correct. So if I say 2, 4, 6, 8, 12.
14.
Okay, what I'm saying here is that you know the next number based off the previous pattern that came before it.
Yes.
Right? I know God is going to work because he ain't never failed me.
Yes.
He has yet to let me down. And because he's never let me down, I have no problem believing the next thing. Because he's done it before. And so, like, for example, I read the story of the children of Israel. Dude, the journey is 3 months at most. You can walk there. It's like walking from here to Macon. Really? Hold up. You come through a Red Sea. You see it open. You see the most powerful nation get decimated right before your eyes. Hold up. Even when you leave, people are giving you gold and money. Really? And you get to the back door of the promised land. And just because you see giants, you get scared. Wow, really? Is that? But if you look at everything that happened before, only 2 people, besides Moses, had the faith, Joshua and Caleb. We can take it. We can take it. It's no problem. But the other 10, and God's wicked sense of humor. Maybe wicked is not a good, but crazy sense of humor. For every day that you were in the promised land and you doubted me, you'll spend 1 year in the desert. That showed me that God is saying, look at what I've done for you. I'm never going to let you down. If God has brought me this far, he is never going to leave me. And I stand on that. God would not have brought us this far. We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord. And so he's not going to leave me. I don't come this far in my life. No, God is real. I have no problem. And it may not look like, it may look crazy. And I am human. And I say, wow, but God, and I start quoting back to God what he's done for me. And that's what I do.
Okay. I know I like to say a lot that God did not sacrifice his only begotten son, give his life just to leave us out here to fend for ourselves. You know,
right.
You're going to put up that much collateral and then not take care of what you put the collateral up for. So
there you go. Your thinking is logical. It's just, wait a minute, you wouldn't have done this just to let me down on this. That makes no sense.
So we have to keep that in mind. So real quick, tell us about 2 people who have been influential in your life. I know you probably have a million.
The most influential?
Not necessarily the most influential,
okay.
Just influential in general.
Probably a guy named Christopher Evans. He's a pastor down in LaGrange, Georgia. Okay. So we talk all the time, and he's younger than me. He's 10 years younger than me. Okay. But he's right. So he's very, very wise, and we've influenced each other in a sense. And so he's forced me to keep rising up, keep going higher, because I have a saying, hang around 9 broke people and you'll be the 10th one, right? And if you're the smartest person in your group, you're in the wrong group. Yes. And probably my grandmother, okay?
Okay.
as strict as she was, and you're talking old school disciplinarian, born in 1918, couldn't take nothing off nobody. Okay, I've seen her go at it with with back in that day with white people, just didn't care. Bam! All right. Learned a lot from her. That's where I got that saying from. She would tell me every morning, "Hey, if you run with fools, you'll be a fool." I mean, every single day before school, and just watching her, you know. All
Okay.
right.
That's good. So as we are coming to a close, this was like a quick interview. Doesn't seem like we've been on here this long, but give us one piece of general advice that you would say could work for anybody,
Ah.
what field you're in.
Oh, in the field that I'm in.
No, it doesn't have to be in the field.
Oh. Oh. Okay. Well, that's several. Here's one. Don't put your eggs in someone else's basket and get mad when they hatch.
What? I actually understand that.
You know, we sometimes go and put all of our efforts in someone else's dream,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go and do something else. You know, and that's their right to do something else, but you prop them up so much and not thought about yourself, and you're mad because they moved on.
Yeah.
So this has happened to me. You pushing and pushing, and you want it more than they do, when you really should be investing into your own self. So that's one of my Jody truths, you know.
That's good. I like that. I like that. So, y'all, that's all we have for.
All right.
You've heard it straight from Jody Mayfield himself, and you can contact him at jodymayfield@gmail.com. You can go to his website, jodymayfield.com. And also, there's another link in the description box to go and check out his portfolio and look at his website and see all the great things that he has done over there with music production, and get in contact with him, you know, hire him out for some.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Whatever it is you need, he can take care of you there. So we'll be back here on Friday for Promise Friday, and next Tuesday we will be back with another great person, a woman of God, who will be coming on telling us about her journey. So thank you all for coming in tonight. Thank you all for watching. If you're watching the replay, thank you for taking the time to come in and watch. Remember, God's promises are for you. Now go live a promise-filled life.
Woo! All right. Bye-bye.